Meet Jonathan. He's a giant tortoise, and he's officially about 190 years old. He was already alive before the light bulb was invented, before cars, before photography, and he's not even considered especially unusual for his species. Meanwhile, most animals show clear signs of aging within a few decades at most. So what is it about turtles that lets some of them barely seem to age at all? The real answer comes from a massive scientific study that genuinely surprised the researchers themselves. And it involves a concept that challenges a basic assumption most of us have about aging entirely. Let's get into it. First, let's define what scientists actually mean by aging. Biologists use a specific term for it: senescence. Senescence describes the gradual decline in bodily function that increases your risk of death as you get older. For most animals, including humans, this pattern is remarkably consistent and well documented. The older you get, the higher your risk of dying in any given year becomes. For a long time, scientists assumed this pattern was essentially universal across all living things. Then, in 2022, a massive international research effort put that assumption to the test. Scientists analyzed detailed data from 52 different turtle and tortoise species. The results were genuinely striking. 75% of those species showed extremely slow aging. Even more surprising, 80% of the species studied aged slower than modern humans do. And in some individual species, researchers found something called negligible senescence. That means their risk of dying in a given year simply doesn't increase with age once they reach adulthood. A 10-year-old individual and a 100-year-old individual can have roughly the same odds of dying that year. To be clear, this doesn't mean they're immortal. Disease, injury, and other risks still exist. It just means the specific, gradual decline we call aging barely applies to them at all. So why would evolution produce animals that barely age? The leading explanation starts with the shell. A hard, protective shell dramatically reduces a turtle's risk of being killed by a predator. Evolutionary biologists have a theory connecting predation risk directly to how species evolve to age. If an animal is likely to die young from predators anyway, there's little evolutionary payoff in aging slowly. But if an animal is well protected and likely to survive many years regardless, slow aging becomes far more valuable. Natural selection has more reason to favor strong, long-term cellular repair in animals that actually live long enough to use it. The shell doesn't just protect turtles physically. It may have shaped how their entire biology evolved. There's a second major piece of this puzzle. Turtles are cold-blooded, with notably slow metabolisms. Unlike warm-blooded animals, turtles don't burn energy quickly just to maintain a constant body temperature. Slower metabolic activity generally means slower production of harmful byproducts that damage cells over time. Less accumulated cellular damage across a lifetime may directly translate into slower overall aging. It's not the whole explanation on its own, but it's a genuinely important piece of the picture. Here's another unusual trait many turtles share. They keep growing throughout their entire lives. Most animals, including humans, stop growing once they reach adulthood. Turtles often keep slowly growing, even as very old adults. Researchers believe this ongoing growth reflects an ongoing capacity for tissue maintenance and repair. A body that's still actively building and repairing tissue may simply be better equipped to resist the effects of aging. There's also a fascinating connection here to cancer resistance in large, long-lived animals. Logically, bigger, longer-lived animals should get more cancer, since they have more cells and more time for mutations. But that's often not what we observe in nature. Scientists call this surprising pattern Petos paradox. Some research on turtles has found extra copies of genes specifically involved in DNA repair and tumor suppression. More backup copies of these protective genes may help explain both their cancer resistance and their slow aging. It's an active area of ongoing research, but a genuinely exciting one for understanding aging more broadly. There's one more piece of cellular biology worth mentioning: telomeres. Telomeres are protective caps on the ends of your chromosomes, a bit like the plastic tips on shoelaces. In most animals, telomeres gradually shorten every time a cell divides, contributing to aging over time. Once telomeres get too short, cells often stop dividing properly or become damaged. Some research on long-lived turtle species has found their telomeres shorten far more slowly than expected. A few studies have even found certain individuals maintaining stable telomere length across many years of monitoring. Slower telomere shortening may be another meaningful piece of why their cells simply hold up better over time. Here's one of the most surprising findings from that 2022 study specifically. Turtles living in zoos and aquariums, with steady food and no predators, often aged even more slowly than wild ones. This suggests their aging rate isn't fully fixed. It can respond to how safe and stable their environment is. That's genuinely unusual. In most species, environment doesn't dramatically reshape the basic pace of aging. For turtles, better living conditions seem to unlock even slower aging than they already have in the wild. Quick honesty check here, because turtles aren't actually the longest-lived vertebrates on Earth. That title currently belongs to the Greenland shark, found in cold Arctic and North Atlantic waters. Using radiocarbon dating, researchers estimated some individuals live between roughly 270 and 500 years. These sharks don't even reach sexual maturity until around 150 years old. So turtles aren't uniquely alone in this extreme longevity club. They share it with a few other remarkable species. What makes turtles special is how well-studied and consistent this slow aging pattern is across so many different species. One more interesting detail from the research: turtle longevity doesn't always follow typical patterns. In many species, including humans, females tend to live somewhat longer than males on average. In turtles, that pattern often flips. Males frequently outlive females across many studied species. Interestingly, when females are physically larger than males in a given species, that pattern can reverse again. Body size appears to be a genuinely major factor shaping lifespan differences between the sexes in turtles. Quick pause before we continue. Take a guess. Do you think every single species of turtle ages this slowly? Not at all. Aging rates vary enormously even within turtles, based on species-specific traits. Smaller, less protected turtle species can still age at a fairly typical pace, closer to many other animals. Let's clear up a few common myths before we wrap up. Myth 1. Turtles are biologically immortal and never actually die of old age. False, as we covered. Negligible senescence isn't immortality. Death from disease or injury still happens. Myth 2. Every species of turtle lives for over 100 years. Not true. Lifespans vary widely across turtle species, with some living much shorter lives than famous giants like Jonathan. Myth 3. Turtles age slowly purely because of their slow movement and behavior. Not accurate. It's rooted in metabolism, genetics, and shell protection, not simply how slowly they move around. Myth 4. Scientists fully understand exactly why turtles age so slowly. Not quite. Much of this remains active, ongoing research, with several contributing factors still being studied. Myth 5. Turtles are the single longest living vertebrates on the entire planet. As we covered, that title actually belongs to the Greenland shark, which can live even longer than most turtles. Myth 6. A turtle's shell is just external armor with no real connection to how long it lives. Not accurate. The shell's protection likely shaped the evolutionary pressures behind their slow aging directly. Let's wrap up with a few fun extra facts. Jonathan the tortoise has lived through the terms of over 30 different British monarchs and prime ministers combined. Some turtle species can also survive months without eating, relying on incredibly efficient energy use. Certain freshwater turtles can even survive long periods with very limited oxygen during winter dormancy. Researchers studying turtle longevity hope the findings could eventually offer clues relevant to human aging research. A slow-moving animal most people overlook might end up teaching us something genuinely important about aging itself. One more fact before we recap. Jonathan's exact birth year isn't perfectly documented, since he arrived before formal record-keeping. His age is carefully estimated using historical photographs and records from when he first arrived on the island. Even with some uncertainty, he's still confidently recognized as the oldest known living land animal today. Okay, let's bring this all together. A massive 2022 study found most turtle and tortoise species age remarkably slowly, some almost negligibly. Their protective shells likely shaped evolution toward investing in long-term cellular repair instead of rapid reproduction. Slow, cold-blooded metabolism, continuous growth, and strong DNA repair all likely contribute too. Surprisingly, better living conditions in captivity can slow their aging even further. None of this makes turtles immortal. It just means the aging process barely touches many of them at all. All from one quiet, slow-moving animal that's been quietly outliving generations of scientists studying it. If this answered a question you never knew you had, that's exactly what this channel is about. So if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. It genuinely helps this channel grow, and it takes about 2 seconds. Drop a comment and tell me which part surprised you the most. Was it Jonathan's age? The captivity finding? Let me know. And if you like this video, go ahead and tap that like button. It's a small click that genuinely helps this channel keep growing. There are hundreds of everyday questions just like this one waiting to be explored. Things you've heard about your whole life, but never actually questioned. That's what this channel is all about. Toggling your curiosity on, one question at a time. One more thing before you go. Tap that notification bell too, so you actually see it when the next video drops. Next time, we're tackling why flamingos stand on one leg for hours without falling over. It's a surprisingly clever energy-saving trick, and you will not guess the mechanism. I'll see you in the next one.